Hello guys, welcome back to Information 2 Software. I'm Haowen and I'm glad to continue introducing the new functionality, the file level backup and recovery. Before getting started, we need to prepare the i2Backup platform and the disk pool, as well as a storage unit. If you don't know how to create them, you can check the previous video and look for the specific instruction. Well, additionally, we have one backup client with the test directory, and I create several, actually it's 10 docs files inside, simulate as the original data need to be backup and recovery later. And there is a recovery client which we need to recover the data from the backup client and store in this client. The both client should install the DR node module and create the specific username and the password for the registration. So let's go to the i2Backup platform, then click resource, DR backup resource, and the node. Click new to create the new node here, and I name it as i2 recovery node. Alright, don't forget to assign the backup client and click confirm. Well, in this case, we only need to assign the backup client to both clients. So, but it's a default setting, so we don't need to do any further configuration for it. And then let's click the backup and restore section, app protect the backup role. We can click new to create the new backup role, then name it as backup, click next, and select the client need to do the backup operation. In this case, it should be the 75, and select the storage unit as a backup target. Check the only TCP IP strategy as a transmission link, then click next. In this page, we should select the file or directory need to do the backup, and it should be the test file. Well, here is a page we can create the backup strategy. We can select to create the one full backup role and the several incremental roles. About the retention level, well, it's a time period can store the data in the storage unit, and the default the time should be the 1 week, and of course you can select any other time period. Let's click the time window. There's two time windows. The backup time window represents the time range during which the backup role can run, and the default is 24 hours times 70 days. And the start time windows refer to the time range during which the backup plan can trigger a backup task. You can just reset it and select your own time period. And don't forget to set your start time window. You can also reset it and select your own. Well then, let's go to execution plan. It's a several plan type you can set up for this backup rule. Instance mean once you submit this rule, the rule will do the backup, and as well as once time you can set it only operates the once time task for the backup rule. You can select any specific time to trigger this rule. But generally for the full backup, I always select the daily, and every day it will do the backup operation. You can also add any day you don't want to do the backup, but this time I just leave it as default, then confirm it. You can create the several incremental rule here. And click Next. In this page, we can just leave all the configuration as a default unless you have the specific requirement regarding the compression or encryption, as well as any script before you want to do the backup operation. But this time, because I don't have anything for this, so we just go to the next one. Then check the configuration above and confirm it. Well, the initial status should be the scheduling, and we can go to the dashboard, the backup task, to check the status of this backup rule, and we can check, click refresh to refresh the status, or we can also check this the task details, the task log, to find is there any error or any problem during this process. Yeah, currently everything's alright. Alright, once the state has become finished, we can go back to the backup and restore section. App protection, there is a recovery task we can click. Well, the process to create the recovery task is quite similar with the backup rule, and there is a more convenient way to create this. Let's click the backup set and backup set manage. There, we can just find the backup set was created by the backup rule just now, and we need to select. It should be this one, and let's click restore. It will create the recovery task automatically, so we can just name it as recovery. Click next. In this place, we can select the directory we need to do the recovery and edit it. Then leave the rest of configuration as a default. Click next as well. The restore target client, this time let's select the recovery node and check the only TCP IP strategy. The target directory, look for it and confirm it again. Click next. These settings just similar as the parameter configuration of the backup rule. If you don't have any requirement for compression or encryption, you can just leave it as default. Then confirm it. Alright, we can also go to the dashboard, the backup task, to check the status of this task. And in the meantime, you can find there is another 2 backup role setup, and it should belong to the incremental backup rule we set before. And yeah, like you can see, once the state has become finished, you can go back to the recovery node. Well, it should be the test recovery directory. Let's list it. There is a test. There's another test directory here, and let's check this test file. Well, like you can see, we can find all the files need to be backup in the backup client, and it's already recovery in the recovery client as well. So the whole process of the file level backup and recovery is successfully. We have completed the entire process of creating the backup rule and recovery rule. I hope you find this valuable, and have a nice day. Goodbye.